ask, Gage, is that you smile and take things light.
Well, listen, here's the intro for today. Andrew says I do 7-minute intros and he loves them so much. We have a familiar face with us, guys. It is Erik Myers, formerly known as Howley Hustle. I say it right. My co-host has not gotten that right any single time he's introduced him. But I say it right. I say it as right as Spam and white rice, my friends. So it's a lot of fun. It is a pleasure to have Erik Myers, one of the people that is holding PWCC down. If it wasn't for you and Jesse, I don't know what they'd be doing over there. And there's my intro. It's not 7 minutes long. We are lucky to have you here for the Collector Series because even though you are a cog in our industry, you are somebody that keeps the wheels a-turning, you also are a collector at heart. And sometimes we talk to people who are just in it to flip, just in it to make the money, just, in it to, to buy and sell. You actually have a pretty awesome collection. And, you are a collector at heart. It puts you in a different kind of stratosphere. So we're lucky to have you on. Welcome to our 10 for 10 Collector Series. Thanks, Erik.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure. Always
1 minute. 1 minute. A beautiful intro.
So we were talking about, just, kind of behind the scenes before we get an episode going. We talk about the World Cup coming up in the USA 2026. We're talking about kind of what's going on in the hobby from a macro perspective. And I want to start there because we're going to get into a bunch of topics. What I like about you, Erik, is you're one of the most generous people with your information and knowledge. Right, you never, sometimes people give, but you kind of feel that they want something in return. We've spoken so many times, and you're very generous with helping people, and I think a lot of people have helped you as well. What are you seeing, man? Because 2021, a lot of people came into the hobby, right? A lot of newcomers. They created accounts at PWCC, at Only Alt, at StarStock. They bought their cards. Some of them they sent in to get graded, and they're still at PSA or BGS or SGC, wherever. But what's the market like? Like, give us a little bit of a pulse on what's going on from your perspective.
I feel like I don't want to use the word stalling, right? I just feel like it's going to look in retrospect and hindsight like it's stabilizing. We look at it while we're in the forest now as it's stalling or a little bit of a pullback, but really what's happening is starting to settle down and stabilize. When we're going to look in the future and look back, that's what it's going to look like. It's a stabilization. And people, I feel, what I'm seeing and hearing in the background, because again, a lot of the people that came in the industry are new. I say new, past 3 years, right? So that's kind of the way I perceive it. Some of the ones that made good ROI are starting to cash out and not cash out and move on. They're cashing out, looking at their liquidity and doing one of two things, holding or starting to really refine. Because remember, if you're going to be in this for the long haul, it's going to have to manifest itself into a skill. So they're starting to really think on an intellectual level, where's my next play? What's causing it? They're either doing that or they're starting to buy items for their PC. And I mean PC that's like 3, 5, 10 year put away. Like they're wanting to, so they made $100,000, $250,000, $500,000 or $1 million in profit the past, 1 to 3 years. And at some point they realize they can keep running this up, but they're also in this, hopefully, to a certain degree as a collector. I see a lot of people buying stuff, and one of the things I'm starting to hear, and I'm very grateful that I'm hearing it, is what's a good long-term investment? So that means their heart is softening up to set on money in an asset. So people are either looking and learning and refining their craft of where they're going to start doing their entry and exits for the future, near future, like next 18 months, or they're looking to put maybe 20 or 30% of their profits into a long-term hold. And sometimes that long-term hold doesn't have to be what the market wants. I see a lot of people buying or asking questions about things that they just want. And that's really cool because now I'm starting to learn about the collector on the phone, the collector that's on the Zoom, the collector. I now get to learn about them. What were they interested in when they were a kid? What's their favorite sport? What's their favorite player? I know you might like Kobe, Jordan, LeBron, but who do you really like? And what's the card you're really after? That's where it really becomes stable. And I'm glad I'm hearing a lot of those stable conversations now.
I want to show you something. As you're talking about that, I pulled up a chart here. It's interesting, right? Like maybe when the market stabilizes, it's when it creates a collector, right? Because in a volatile market, humans are all incentive-based animals or whatever. That's my opinion. And I don't want to get too deep. But when market's going up and down, your incentives are to flip, buy low, sell high. But let me show you a chart. I pulled up the Card Ladder 50 index, and I know it doesn't take everything into consideration, but watch what happens here, and it's exactly what you just said, Erik. So 2 weeks, okay? Let me zoom out. 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, all time. But just like you said, if you look at it, these last 3 months, there's that stabilization, right? Where it's not going up, it's not going down. And it might be creating, like you mentioned, this new
Boredom?
People.
Maybe creating boredom. Maybe no.
That's me. It's my monotone voice. I'm the one that created
No.
boredom. Put it on the index.
That chart looks boring. I mean, like you understand what I'm saying, right? I mean, like this. I mean, when something's flatline, it's usually dead. So tell me why the hobby's not dead when you got a flatline chart like that. No.
Okay, I'll go first. You go second. We've talked about this a few times, but PSA shut down in March. From March to where we are, October, it's been catching up on that backlog, right? So what's been happening? It's been flooding the market with supply, right? With not a ton of new buyers coming in. So really, what we should have seen is actually a downtrend in prices. What that stabilization is showing is that there is enough money, enough buyers to either support or prop, you guys could choose the words, and at least keep it level. So if there is a new buyer, if there is a shortage of supply, you will start seeing a trend back up. That's my analysis.
Okay.
And you think there's a shortage of supply coming? Because what, PSA is done soon? Like the backlog will be finished soon? Because they still haven't got to the stuff that I sent in August of last year.
Damn, Cage is on fire today.
I don't necessarily think short term there's going to be a shortage of supply, but I think it's possible that there can be an influx or an increase of demand.
So
Right.
here's
Go ahead, Erik. You are the expert. So let's hear.
So here's my honest opinion. It's going to be somewhat flat.
Controversial.
Or it's going to be somewhat boring until there's a catalyst. Yeah. And the catalyst before that a lot of people don't talk about for whatever reason was the cheap grading cost. Could this industry, and I have said it, and I'm not ever going to change my mind until something proves me wrong. This industry is built from the bottom up. Period. Right. The people who are busting packs, the people who are living and dying on $20 a card grading, until those prices come back, this is where we are. Because most, and you see a lot of people come from hedge funds, the outside deep pocket money come in and they look at it, oh, we can run it like the stock market, we can run this index like that, this vertical like this. But they come into it like real estate, like stocks, like investing. The economic ecosystem is the exact opposite of those platforms. And there's no way to change it. There is no way. I keep hearing all these new ideas. You can't, the round is round. Wheels are only going to roll round. Now you can make it a spear, but it's still going to be freaking round at the end of the day. Right. Until the people at the bottom are making higher percentage of ROI, or at least equal to, and it needs to be higher. It really needs to be higher. To those at the top, they have to be more profitable percentage per item than those at the top, period, end of story. And until that comes back, this is where we are. Because what was happening before, people were busting wax, they were getting these cards through their spots that they were buying in, or they were buying Prism or Select or whatever, and they were busting them, they were looking at them, you know what, forget it, send them all in, I don't care. Whatever the good name player is, send them in some grades, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, whatever, they don't care. Because they were making so much money, they were making money hand over foot for PSA. Which PSA solution was, well, let's just charge our customers more. And that always seems to be the economic model, unfortunately, for the American structure. It's just, well, there's 100 solutions. 99 of them will probably work better, but let's just do the 100th one because, why not? That's just what everybody's been doing forever. The truth is there's so many other ways to fix that issue. But then the prices went through the roof. The arbitrage got cut out for the people at the bottom. And until the people at the bottom become the true focus, and I don't mean in emails, I don't mean in things that's going to happen in the future. I'm talking with actions today. Until the people at the bottom, and there's nothing wrong with bees. There's nothing wrong with plankton. Those are the ecosystem movers for how the life works in any ecosystem.
Hang on. I'm getting another call, man.
Is it from SpongeBob?
No, it's Nat Turner from PSA.
Awesome.
He's spitting lyrics in my ear, actually. He said,
He
if you
hates
haven't,
Carmelo.
he said, if you're having grading problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but the bottom ain't one. Hit me. If you're having grading problems, I feel bad for you, son.
Yeah.
I got 99 problems, but the bottom ain't one. Hit me.
Yeah.
They do not
99
care
problems
about
for
the
your
bottom. They don't care. The
And
bottom is not coming back. That's the problem, man. And it's what makes me nervous about the entire thing. It really does. It makes me nervous about it all. And listen, obviously that's a joke. We had Nat on. He came on our show a couple times, and he basically said, no, that would be good though, right? And he said, they want to get back to that value investing. I don't know what price model that'll be at. I don't know when they're going to come back to that. Whether bulk will be $35 in 2024, I have no idea. But you're exactly right, man. And I got to tell you, you hit the nail on the head. A huge part of why I personally came back in late 17 was because I was grading cards at $8 a card. I was grading Pokemon cards that I was opening with my son at $7.50 for quarterly specials. You know what I mean? Like, just that was huge. And you were right. It was so it's like anything else, right? If you're a gambler and you play a slot machine, you don't mind those cherries. Because even though they suck and you want to hit, the bells, the bars, the whistles, the sevens, you want to hit the jackpots, those cherries keep you going, right? They give you that extra spin to hope to spin for those jackpots, right? That's what PSA provided in the slot machine that we are all playing of the hobby, right? PSA provided, you broke a box, you broke your wax, right? And even if you got crushed, right? You got the cherries, you got those base cards, you got the couple of colors, you got something that you could send to PSA, not get raped on the price, get it back, and maybe you didn't make your box price back. Maybe you made some of it back, but you were able to roll that into the next one and then buy another box and then continue the whole cycle. When you take those cherries out of the equation and it's jackpot or nothing, there's going to be less people pulling the handle. That's the problem.
I think that's what makes our show great. Just real quick, is we do try to be the voice for the little man, the cherry pickers.
I pick my nose. People like it, but I mean, the point is, and Erik is saying is right, man. I mean, we don't really talk about it. COVID was huge. The Last Dance was huge for Jordan and for top size pricing and for the top of the market to come in and really blow the roof off of some of the pricing on some of the cards. But yeah, man, that grading, that bottom part of what we call the pyramid here, that was a huge part. It made everybody move up. It made everybody make money. So I'm with you.
Well, so here's the thing. I didn't start off where I'm at. Like, who I am is not who I started. I started off there. Almost every single, even my closest friends. And now there are people that came in with deep pockets, and God bless those people, right? But 99% of the people coming in the industry aren't that. They're the people, the young kids, the 18, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds who were making $9 an hour and like, well, I saved up 500 or $1,000. They're living the American dream. They were living the entrepreneurial American dream. I mean, and the thing is, like, I hear, like, and as much as I love Fanatics, I'm going to support Fanatics wholly because, I'm going to embark upon what the market provides for me next.
Right.
When I heard, I forgot who it was for that, for Fanatics talking about the tape about how the merger was going to happen, the transfer over, the baton pass, about how the system was broken and there's ways to fix it. And the points that were brought up is, well, basically what I heard, well, there's money going here or this money going here. This might not be peak efficient. So we're going to bring it all in. We're going to take the money. And then that way you can have the product you want. But the problem is most of the people in our industry don't have an endless supply of money. You have to allow our ecosystem. I think here's the real thing that really is the truth that doesn't even get caught in my discussion most of the time. Our industry's ecosystem is based on money being made back in from the bottom. This isn't what happens is people come in the industry and they're like, oh, look at all the money coming in. They think all these blue-collar workers just have an endless supply of money, and all you have to do is have a better product, and they'll just keep pouring their paychecks in, taking money off the kids' shoes and off food off the table. Dude, these people have stagnant incomes. The way money was manufactured it was manufactured from within, and unless you allow people at the bottom to be profitable, eventually the stall will digress and they'll go backwards. They have to be able to make money from within the hobby, and there's only two options. You have products getting cheaper, right? Which, that doesn't happen. You have grading costs going back to where they were or relatively close to where they were. Because right now you see products going up, you see the print run going up, you see the grading costs going up. Where's the solution? And these are, look, I'm not slamming anybody for anything.
Nope.
But the solution
It's economics.
Right. We have to discuss it as hobby analysts or people. Why not just talk about it? Where's the solution for the people to be profitable at the bottom? That's where we all agree and look around and go, well, that's where it came from. How do we get that back? And everybody goes, well, I mean, and they just keep on moving. It's so weird.
So the stock market, right? It's at record highs, correct? S&P, Dow, all those are record highs. What was it? What one thing sticks out to me that changed the stock market or helped the stock market grow? It was the creation of Robinhood and the addition of the retail investor, right? Like a lot of people don't realize the way you used to trade, you'd have to create like a E-Trade account or TD Ameritrade. It was very cumbersome.
That
And it was
sucks.
on your computer. It was terrible. Then Robinhood came out and they created an app on your phone, right? You just download the app. 3 minutes later, you have an account. What does that have to do? Oh, the retail investor, even the level below the retail could take $5, $7, $10, put that into Robinhood, turn 10 into 100 because they got it on the right stock, and then they reinvested that, right? So you'd have this whole influx of demand. You had this whole influx of new customers come in. Are we doing that with the hobby, Erik? And potentially maybe the better question is, how can we do that?
That's a great question. So these are real good questions. I love these questions. What can we do to provide an influx? Now, I do like that there's microbursts of things that are to come, right? You see people like Card Ladder, like Chris. You see Slab Savers, Show My Slabs. You see a lot of these startup businesses from within. That's great. That's amazing. I love that. You see people becoming entrepreneurials on top of being entrepreneurs coming in. I do support whether it's a show for Golden or collectibles, any place that's going to have a television show, because whether you like PWCC, Golden, Heritage, no matter whether you like them or hate them, these entities, the more eyes that are on those entities, the better for everybody. So whether they're competitors or associates of ours, we need to support them. We need to support their success. But in regards to a solution that's simple, honestly, Andrew, that'd be an amazing idea, a way to have people do that. Things are diversifying away from eBay, right? We're off eBay. You see Slab's about to be a competitor. Golden is starting its own marketplace. So there's going to be a multitude of different avenues of marketplaces. I think that's going to be difficult for the consumer initially. That being said, I think the competitive nature of what happens is, before we had a monopoly and didn't really realize it or talk about it much, and the fees were going up 8%, 10%, 12%. If they can get to where it's a fee competitive structure and it's consumer based, like true, capitalism, right? Where we compete for the customer's dollar. Us marketplaces compete for the customer's dollar, and the fee structure comes down to a stable area to where the marketplaces can be profitable, not exponentially profitable, but it allows more profit. So every percentage or two that comes off, and I work for a company, I work for PWCC, right? But when the money comes out of us, manufacturers, PSA, Beckett, a lot of these guys are, I don't want to say degenerates, but we're like crackheads for cardboard, bro. I mean, 95% of a lot of people's net worth is in their cardboard. It's the truth. So it's not like put money back in their pocket, they're going to go out and blow it somewhere else. They're putting it right back into the industry. So we need to collectively figure out how to do that, man. But an app like Robinhood would be awesome.
So it's funny, Andrew, what you're talking about is getting the common man involved with something that's centralized, right? So everybody who at that level was able to go to Robinhood, and it was one-stop shopping. And what's funny about it is, I mean, that may happen. Maybe Fanatics does something like that. But I would like to tell you that I think that the hobby has gone away from that in the last 2 years, right? It used to be and we talk about this on different type of asset classes. We talk about the happy community where everything is going great and we're all rah, one big community. We're all together. We're all cheering each other on with record prices and record sales, and everyone's making money together. But, did everybody watch the first season of Survivor? I'm going to tell you how old I am here. The first season of Survivor was great. Everybody was, they were doing their stuff. But then at the end, right, it got to where there were factions being formed against each other. And they were like, everybody was staking their own claim. And they were like, it wasn't a big kumbaya, let's survive this thing. It was hey, every man for himself. Everybody's got to go get their profit and squeeze the middleman out. And
At first, it was growing that pizza pie, and then eventually, it was like
it
hiding
was
your
like,
pizza.
all right, well,
This
the
is
pizza's
mine.
big, but I want my slice, and I want to take a piece of your slice too on my way out. And that's the way. I mean, the pizza grew, man. We all grew that pizza over the last couple of years, and now, eBay wants their piece, and they don't want to share it with PWCC, and PWCC is going after their own piece, and Golden's going after their own piece. And there are alliances being formed, like Golden and PSA, and there are alliances out there, and maybe there's more alliances to be had. I mean, maybe there's more mergers that are going to who the heck knows? But it's very odd because we're in this weird place where there's stagnation of pricing. There is not a lot of new blood coming in that I see because the avenues to make money is not there. And the only people who are fighting over the pie as it stays the same price are the people who used to be getting along with each other and used to say, all right, you know what, let's grow this thing together. Instead, everybody's kind of marking their own turf, pissing on the lawn, saying this spot's mine. Am I wrong?
The plant and the flag, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of what I see, right? I mean, everybody's got their own marketplace. I mean, to what end? To ultimately get bought? I mean, by eBay, but I mean, like, back to, and honestly, it used to be the goal was, let's get the consumer involved, let's make this easy for the consumer, let's let it win, and this is almost cartel like. I don't think that PWCC and Golden or anybody else are going to be charging much less than what eBay was charging anyway, because everybody knows that that's kind of standard rates. Maybe instead of going from 12%, we're all paying 10% or 11%, but it's negligible to the consumer. And any saving that there's going to be from that potential competition is going to be lost to the common man anyway, because now they're going to have to try to list these things over 4 different platforms, and they're getting a quarter of the eyeballs, and their end price is going to be less than what it would have been anyway. So yeah, thanks for saving me that 1% in end prices, but now I'm not able to get the eyeballs centralized that I was able to get before. So who are we helping?
Yeah,
not the guy on the bottom.
I'll go a different route with that because I like what Alt did, and I don't want to specifically talk about Alt, but I like how if you look at their marketing team and their employees, many of them are new entrants to the hobby, right? So we talk about kind of like customer acquisition. It is cool, like let's say PWCC doesn't, they match the eBay 10%. I have no idea, but they provide, a little bit of a call center, customer service, where they hire people in who were never a part of the hobby before, and they bring people in, right? Like a big part of Facebook, and it's a completely different industry altogether. The profit margin there is crazy, but Facebook made so many billionaires, right? And all those billionaires became VCs that now reinvested in other tech companies, right? So a lot of people don't know this. I worked for Jumio. Do you know who funded initially Jumio? It was Eduardo Saverin, who was the guy who sued Zuckerberg. Remember that whole social network? So these guys that make money, that eventually start a business, whether PwC, Alt, Golden, whatever, they make some profit and they hire more people, hopefully outside the hobby, to bring them in and say, hey, this is kind of cool.
The arbitrage, though, like Ms. Cage was specifying, is even if we save the customer 2 or 3%, and they save a couple percent over here, and it's collectively a 5%, maybe even 10% ROI margin and swing in their favor. That again, that's potentially negligible in regards to the maybe 5% you lose because of the fact that it's non-centralized eyeballs. Very valid point. The arbitrage was being made on the cost of the wax and the cost of the grading and the ability to flip it. Yep. You could have 5 or 10 marketplace platforms. If the arbitrage and the vertical is there, if the vertical is there on the price of wax, and I get it. I understand, like, if Nat watches this, what his perspective would be. Why is it on my shoulders? Sorry, bro. It's just, it is. It is what it is. I mean,
with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Well, I mean, listen, it's a perfect storm, right? Because at the same time, the people who are flipping their stuff, also now, the hobby didn't behave, and we were pulling guns on each other in Target. And now you can't even get the retail at Target the same way you were able to get it by bribing the store manager or anything like that. They don't even sell it anymore. You know what I mean? Like it was literally a perfect storm. Like every way there was for people to have that come up, it's gone now. And instead, who we talk to who have a come up, it's one of the things that I think is mostly luck. Although I guess if you grind enough, you do it. The people who seem to be doing okay on the bottom somehow are able to buy a card at a show and then sell it later that week for a little bit more money. The margins are not the same, anywhere near close to what they are for grading. But
Even
people,
more specifically, Cage, like a lot of cards, like
Yeah.
like 5 or 6 mid to high end cards, like 5, like 1,000 to like 20,000. They'll buy it at a discount for 30K and then sell it off individually. Is that what you mean?
yeah, or people who are buying a couple of $500 cards or whatever it is it shows, and then they're scraping out a couple $100 combined or $1,000 this week, and then that week, and they're able to make a living on it doing that way. But that's people who are doing this full time, basically. That's dealer wise. That's people who are. This is what they have. This is what they're doing. It's not. It used to be, you could rip some stuff over the weekend, send it off to PSA that weekend, and you were, you still had your day job. This wasn't your day job. Now, in order to get the returns, this has to be your full time gig. So,
Erik, if you don't mind, go. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to shift. When you first came into the hobby, you had an awesome mentor, right? And this is a collector series. So I don't think it's all gone. I do think these principles are timeless. Do you remember, 1, 2, or 3 kind of principles that you were taught or you learned over the years that kind of are, your foundation of how you collect, how you invest, how you think about cards?
Well, so there were things that Ryan Hank, Amen Miracle on Instagram, give him a shout out real quick. There were things that he did more than he said that I caught on to. He always had alternative revenue streams. So I do see a lot of people who've asked me, Erik, should I quit my job and do this full time? No, you're an idiot. No, you don't do this right. Unless you've got 10 years in the industry, don't even contemplate it. Even Warren Buffett says you need to have at least 3 different revenue streams of income. Your money needs to make money while you're sleeping. And your money should make money on top of the other money you have. That's how it works, right?
And do you mind if I ask, like, do what, right? Also, like, the question should be, you mind if I do this full time? What is this? I think
whatever your job is, if Cage is a lawyer or whatever, figure out a job. Even if your full-time job makes you $600-700 a week, like net, right? It's learning how to grind on top of grinding. It's the iron sharpening the iron. And again, you also aren't dependent on the cards that profitability margins to where you can live on 10, 15, 20%, or just for 6 months or a year making 15% or 10% on a flip. That's okay. But you're also learning how to work in other avenues. Just putting all your eggs in one basket and figuring out what's the most profitable basket with the least amount of work. That might not work out the best for you, Ned. That's right. It's just my opinion, right? I've been doing this going on 16 years. I've never done it full time. It has always now I work for PwCC, so I work for a card.
I do this full time, but I just haven't told my 9-to-5 employer that.
Right. So, yeah, I have found an opportunity to bring my passion into a workspace that allows me to do it full time. But other than that, I was a journeyman electrician or a project manager, superintendent, or I was director of operations for a weapons company. In all those jobs, I was working 50, 60 hours a week. I was working. A lot of them, like doing out in projects, like I was traveling different states, doing large projects and stuff, multi-million-dollar, $10, $20, $30 million projects, running those things. So it's very, you have to put in the time, work, and effort. It's going to do that. Anything that's worth having in life, you're going to have to do what other people won't do. There was a gentleman that said one time, if you want what other people don't have, you got to be willing to do what other people won't do. And that's it. Anybody is willing to get on a plane or click buttons from their phone. You want to be successful? Show me what you got. But on the flip side, we still need those arbitrages there. We need
revenue
those
streams. You have to have another revenue stream.
There's nothing wrong. So if you make 80K a year on cards or 60K a year on cards, what's wrong with getting a regular job making 40K a year? Let's bring that to 120. You do that 2 or 3 years, you're compounding. So what I always did was, and how I think I became successful, I didn't live on my card money. Every time I cashed out and started buying stuff with my card profit money was the wrong decision. Every time. I've owned like half a dozen Vipers, but I've owned some really cool stuff, buy a beach house or something, whatever. But I should have just kept rolling it back in. And when I get in that mentality of roll it back in, live off my paycheck, live on that frugal, whatever my income is. Like now, I make a decent living. I do not live on $1 in card money. My card money rolls back into itself, and I'm going to cash out at 62. It's my next time to cash out.
It's like a 401k, huh?
Yeah.
Blue with white racing stripes or red with black?
Blue with white. They're on my
Good for you.
Instagram. So I had blue with white. This is how cheesy I. So I've been building. I used to build race motors for years when I was younger because I'm from the South, right? It's kind of what we do. You know, but I can do more than turn left. I really can. Better to straight line. I had a 450 horsepower, 427, and then a 550 horsepower. So I had a blue with white for Monday through Friday, and then I had a silver with a pewter with silver. So that was my blue with white. Look at my other one. That was Monday through Friday. That was my Monday through Friday car. So I drove.
But what is that?
That's a 65 Shelby,
That's
bro.
a 60 Shelby. Yeah, it's a Shelby 65. Wow, look at that. That's not.
That was my.
That's not a Viper.
This was my Monday to Friday.
I had a Viper in the garage too.
That's not a Viper. I was asking about the Viper. Blue
Hey, look at, so go to the other one. So that was my garage. I had a silver with white and then the blue with white. That was my garage.
That's
So
nice.
I had one for the weekend and one for the. But no, my Vipers I had like Gen 2s, Gen 3s, Gen 4s, Gen 5s. My last one was, so that was my baby. I missed that one the most. I don't know. The blue one was nice too. Yeah, it was nice. So my last Viper did like 1,800 horsepower, 15 something with the wheels, something like that.
The Viper's a cool car. That's what I always like. The blue with the white racing stripe. The Viper, the Dodge.
Oh yeah,
production
line. So the Viper came from the Daytona, which was a Shelby as well. So, but yeah, I mean, but Viper's a money pit. So you're talking about $15,000 Motec, $7,000 clutch, $13,000 transmission. Yeah, that got shut down real quick. I mean, after doing that a couple of years, you blow through a couple $100,000, $250,000 on a car, and then you sell it for $150,000. You realize, go back to doing cards.
You've been living in South Korea for a minute. What's the collector culture like? Do people collect cards?
Sort of like Squid Game. He's in South Korea. It's sort of like there's only going to be one man standing. That's it, just Erik. Everybody else is getting killed.
They create some good content out of there. South Korea's got some K-pop is a big deal. They get culture. I'm just saying
it's
stuff.
huge.
It's
K-pop
huge. I'm just buzzword. I don't know what I'm talking about.
But stuff. So they do love. They're at that precipice, if you will, of the old versus the new. I think in the next generation, there's going to change a lot. But they love a lot of stuff, or they love a lot of ideas of Western culture. K-pop is huge. They love that. They like the individual freedom of that of expression can give them. They're not as wide open about it. They're not, talking about banging hoes and smoking and, and snorting lines of coke. They probably won't ever be, thank God, but they're definitely embracing a little bit of freedoms and luxuries. I went to several card shops here. They really like it. They're passionate about it. They understand that the money might not always, it's not going to be highly profitable for them like it is in the West. But I'm going to be honest, when they have, like, I met a guy's favorite player. I was on my Instagram. He was one of the assistants for the card shop that I went to. Like, his favorite player was Lillard. Like, they love their favorite players. They'll sit and talk to you about their favorite player for 20 minutes and why they love Lillard, this shot in this game. It was cool. Like, I mean, we were talking cards, but we never really talked much about price. It was just their player, why they're into it, how long they've been into it.
That's cool.
I'm going to be honest. It was pretty cool. And I'm going to go back. So it's a red zone in Seoul. So I had scheduled to go back and to do a podcast with them while they did the break, but zones go red and green. And when they go red, I can't go in those zones because of COVID. But I think by the 1st of December, the goal is mid-November. South Korea is going to just do away with that. And it's going to be a live with it stance. You're on your own, at your own risk. We're just, COVID's here. It is what it is. So by the end of the year, that's how they're going to take it. Just like, whatever, you're on your own, peeps. Which I'm waiting to embrace that.
So Erik, forget about the PWCC side, forget about the grading side, forget about the pyramid. 10 for 10 collector series, right? You as a collector, right? I called it boredom. I called it a flat line. I called it all that stuff. You obviously disagree with that. Tell me from a collector standpoint. I don't want to know where you're putting your money, but you're optimistic. And if you are, why? Is it because you get to talk to people in South Korea and they actually care about the sport, they care about their people? Is it because without telling us any trade secrets, you get to see behind the scenes money flow while you're at PWCC and know that, while the card ladder graph might be flat, there's still plenty of money pouring into it. So talk to me about it, as a collector and I guess end with, if you can for me on this question, are you still as passionate about collecting as you were, especially given the behind the curtain look that you get with the job you have?
I'm always going to be passionate about it. That's never going to change. When the money's gone, I didn't get in for the money. Like that's just that's never going to be a mindset of mine. I love it. I mean, you want to like people start talking to me about vintage baseball players. My eyes light up, man. People that died or quit playing decades before me. That's where my heart and soul is in this industry. That being said, on that, I'm hoping the money doesn't dry up. Well, we're yet to see because we've got a long stretch between now and Fanatics takes over. We've got a 3-year lull. I'm passionate about people exploring different avenues, whether it be F1, soccer. We had talked about this before the show started recording. I'm big on soccer, and I don't own any soccer cards. I have been chasing some behind the scenes on my own, some really high-end ones. But you had the World Cup in 2022. It's the number one sport in all of the world. Ronaldo has more Instagram followers than anybody in the world. You have the World Cup coming to America. If the World Cup wasn't coming to America in 2026, I probably wouldn't be so bullish on it. But the fact that it is, and it's already set in stone, that's just going to happen. And it's over not just America. It's Mexico and Canada. It's all of North America. I think that's amazing. There's going to be a lot of people watching that. A lot of hype. That'll be right after the baton passing to Fanatics, I think. So that's really cool. Other than that, I think they're maturing. They're starting to learn what to buy. But you've seen some cards still, if you really are in the granular level, like the Durant refractor, it bottomed out at 12K. Now it's like 23, 24K. It only took like 6 weeks to go for that swing at 2X. There are still pivotal 2Xs there. The thing is, unless you're going to PC that card, you need to know your entry and exit strategy. I'm always big on entry and exit strategy. It needs to mean you have to look at this as like, you have to look at it as a real way to, you don't just kind of pick up wire and just, I'm going to do some circuit breakers and I'm going to be an electrician. You actually have to hone your craft. And this is the same freaking thing. Same thing with plumbing, same thing with carpentry. You know, I mean, you've got to hone that. Don't just sit on it forever hoping it's going to exponentially go up. Find your entry and exit strategy. There's still money in arbitrage to be made. The ROI isn't going to be there like it was before until the grading fees come down and the prices come down. But the money is still there, you know.
We talked about this. Could we? So you with the Jordan PSA 10 versus the Jordan 9.5, you said, Andrew, you know, everyone times their entry. You know, they know what price they want to get it for, but they never think about their exit. How do you explain that or teach that to a beginner?
It's hard. You know, the easiest way to talk about, like just in a 1-minute conversation, you ask them about a basketball player, if all they point out is the player's offensive ability, you know they never worry about their exit strategy. They're singularly focused. They only operate on one side of the brain in that aspect. Like people talk about, you know, Magic Johnson, who's great. You know, his defense sucked. His win share ratio over Stockton was, I think, 24th compared to 6 overall. No comparison on win share. Anyway, but how you get them to talk about it, man, you just get them to be able to understand, is this going to be a PC card or not? You know, you really have to be able to break down their thought process. What are they going to sell it for? If people are buying it, they go, well, I think it's going to go up. What's your cutoff point? You know, I'm always talking to my customers about that. What's your exit strategy? If you don't have one, when it comes to it, remember, you didn't have one. So if I give you advice, you didn't have a better advice, you might want to listen to me. You know, I mean, just kind of think about those kinds of things, you know, and I'm always pushing people to start thinking about what's your exit strategy. Find a margin. I think here's what's happened, and not to get too psychological. In school, we're taught how to be employees. Nobody's taught how to be an employer. Nobody's taught how to be the entrepreneur. Nobody's taught how to do taxes. Why? Because they don't want you to question those dumb tax laws. So they don't want you to know anything about it by the time you graduate. Nobody at the age of 18 knows how to file one simple W-2. They just don't. So the thing is, they've been conditioned their whole life just to kind of do what they're told, to be an employee. But in this industry, you've got to be an entrepreneur. So you've got to have forward thought process and forward thinking models in order to follow. And it's okay to make 10% and move on. Because when you wake up tomorrow, you're not going to be a moron. You weren't a moron when you woke up today. You're going to be smarter tomorrow. People don't have a lot of faith in themselves. And this industry reflects that. If you're holding on to something because it could go up, because it could go up, because it could go up, only have that thought if you're a PC. If it's something you're going to sell and the margin's fair, move it. Learn how to learn. Because it's not about all the money in the world is going to make you add one day to your life. It's not going to matter. Enjoy the life, enjoy the journey, enjoy the road, and become something 5 years from now. When you look back, you're like, man, I have grown as an individual. I have learned to believe in myself. I've learned to pivot from one career to the next, because it's not about my certifications. It's about my ability to apply those certifications. It's about me. You know, a lot of these successful people in this industry, they need to learn to believe in themselves and what got them here. And if you can do that, you can operate on 10% margins. PWCC operates on a 10% margin. Golden, all these, they're worth $500 million, $250 million. These entities have figured out a way to do it. A lot of these individuals can figure out a way to do it. It's not that difficult, but it takes refinement and it takes growth and dedication.
It's only one person I know who believes in himself. It's Andrew. This dude believes in himself more than anybody I know. And the funny part is, he tries to get me to believe in myself every now and again, too. And I got to do a better job of it. Erik, we are not ending here, but I do want to pause. Guys, we talk about value in the show all the time, right? We talk about, value to our audience, value coming from picks and plays. And, hey, if you happen to tune in to whatnot, I'm 9-2 against the spread yesterday. There's some value in that. There's value all over the place, value abound. But I'm going to tell you something. I've been bearish in this episode and maybe in our last couple, right? I've been where there's boredom, there's stagnation in the hobby, there's all kinds of stuff. And I'm always looking for something to kind of what's good about the hobby? What's the positive out there? Do me a favor. Hit the back button and go back 3 minutes and just listen to what Erik just said. If it doesn't motivate you like a Newt Rockney halftime speech, if it doesn't get you going, if it doesn't get you thinking about your own PC, if it doesn't get you thinking about your hobby journey and where you've been the last 6 or 12 months, and more importantly, where you want to go the next 6 or 12, you're doing something wrong. Because that's what I'm thinking as he's talking. That's what I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking about, hey, if I believe in myself, maybe I do this. And maybe I should have sold this card when Erik approached me and told me how much money he had an offer.
I'm talking to you.
Do you think it's what happens is when you start realizing it's not about that singular trade or that singular moment, and when you realize it's about your life and how this is just one piece, and you're, okay, I didn't do it right then, but here's what I've learned, and I'm constantly improving. Because as an entrepreneur, it's funny, like we see and have this vision of what an entrepreneur is, but an entrepreneur is really like a crash course in self-awareness. Every single day, and doesn't matter what you did yesterday, you have to step out there and you have to face yourself, right? You have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I don't really fucking want to do anything, but I have to learn the disciplines to do it. Or, man, yesterday I gambled instead of buying a Kawhi Leonard PSA 10 card. Okay, now I got to get better. There's nobody there to catch you. There's nobody. And I think what's cool about the hobby is I actually think it's like entrepreneurship with a parachute, right? At the end of the day, more than likely you're not going to go bust, right? More than likely you're going to be okay. But the lessons that you learn, who knows if you're going to start a business in 10, 15, 3 years that becomes your $1 million or $10 million business. And the skills you learned came from baseball cards. And that's not my words. That's Ed Milet, Andy Frisella, Gary Vee, all down the road. You hear about all of these guys who wrote books and have successful businesses, and their careers started with buying and selling baseball cards on their blog, So I wholeheartedly believe like money is a derivative of personal growth.
That's basically, what I'm saying. And what you talk to Gary, if you listen, and sometimes people hear what the words they say, but you got to learn to listen to what they're saying. It's like a relationship, right? It's kind of like a marriage. So you got to listen to what people are saying. That's all Gary Vee talks about. Just wake the F up. It's within you. You have to find what turns your switch on and gets you to believe in outside of the system that you've grown up in. That America was built on chasing dreams. And it was built on just scraping by on 5-10%. Sometimes you lose. You try to. Most people in this industry are probably making money 85 to 90% of the time. And they're always afraid of that 10% they're going to lose. Why? You've come up like 3, 4, 5, 10x. Sometimes you take a little bit steps back. Who cares? What do you think about you? Are you going to let that affect you? You're out of your freaking mind, And that's the truth, man. It's on card industry or anything. If you can have the opportunity in life to stumble into something that teaches you to turn your light switch on and be an entrepreneur, you're ahead of 99% of the people that have ever walked this earth. That's it. Most people live and die as an employee. They just live and die that way. And they're okay with it. They actually believe it's okay to go into debt. Well, debt's a good thing. You're a freaking moron if you think going into debt in large sums of money is a good thing. Like, I mean, just so you can pay interest, get the hell out of here, man. You have the ability to be successful. And a lot of the people we talk to, that I talk to, they've turned 10, 15, 20, 30, 40,000 into $250,000, 300 grand. And they're wondering where you're going to go next. At this moment in your life, if you're sitting on $250,000 in assets, you can liquidate it all right now. And if you can't make $250,000 work for you, $2 million wasn't going to work for you either. You need to learn that.
I'm really glad you said that, because while you're talking, what I was thinking about is, let's use that example, right? So somebody made $250,000 in profit, right? And they're thinking, what's the next move? What's the next investment is probably what they're thinking, right? It's interesting to me that they never think, maybe I'm my next investment. Okay, the market's flat. What if I go to a seminar? What if I do like that weekend retreat, right? I made $250K. Why don't I take 10 and go, to a business person I respect, buy into their retreat? Or there's this course called like the Landmark course. I haven't done it, but a lot of people talk about it really highly. It's like $800. Another thing is Masterclass. Masterclass is like an online YouTube thing for $295. Everybody you could ever imagine who's been successful. It's funny how we think of like, oh, I could invest in cards, but why don't I invest in myself? And when the market is better, I return back to that market as a more well-rounded person.
Yeah. I mean, what if you just take some time off, and if you want to learn how to sing, go to singing classes, spend some time doing take that money you've made, and do something you freaking love. You were handed a gift. And again, I don't want to get too spiritual. You're handed a gift by the Creator. And now you have a gift that most people will never, ever have the chance. Dude, do something. I was living on the beach in Hawaii for 4.5 years. I'm in South Korea now. You get one shot at this. There are no mulligans. Your second life begins the moment you realize you only have one life. The moment you realize you only have one life, that's when you start living your life. Most people die at 25, but they're not buried till they're 75. They just gave up. Like, why would you do that? Don't ever give up on yourself. As long as you're breathing, you have a chance to enjoy life. The word life is so beautiful. It's so beautiful, man. And if you've made hundreds of thousands of dollars and we're waiting for the market to come back, get the hell out of here, man. You can, like you said, Andrew, invest in yourself. Go chase a passion. If you lose it all, dude, you lost it all chasing yourself.
I worked on making myself more well-rounded all year this year with Chick-fil-A's help.
Stop. Cage, you've lost. You created the Fit Fam. You've inspired people to lose.
I gotta get back to the Fit Fam. I have abandoned it for about a month. I went on vacation. That was my goal, and then I just never got back on it. But I'm back on it now. I started eating some salads. It's a good time. Salads.
I'm curious if you agree.
Salads are not a good time.
No, he called me the other day. He's like, salads is all he said.
Salads.
And I'm like, but Erik, I'm curious if you agree with this. So to create urgency, right? Because sometimes it's hard. I believe the gift not used becomes a curse, and I'm curious if you believe that too. Like if you don't use this gift that the Creator, whoever you believe in, God, universe, whatever, gave you, because it really has been a gift for a lot of people in the last 18 months. That's big money. Like that's money more than my family's made my whole life.
Yeah.
Do you believe that? If it's not used, it will be taken away because you.
Either way, it's a problem. Whether it's taken, the worst thing is you're giving your gift until your last. Celeste Brown talks about, imagine, if you will, you're on your deathbed and all the blessings that were given to you that you didn't use are standing around you. And they came to you. They didn't come to somebody else. They're all looking at you. And you didn't learn how to sing. You didn't write that book. You didn't write that song. You didn't chase that dream. And you knew the whole time that gift was inside you and you didn't take it. And on their deathbed, they're going to die with you. And that's the truth. And the sooner people realize that, dude, the sooner you wake up and chase those. People are like, why do you move here, Erik? Why are you going there? Why not? Like, why not? I mean, everything lives and dies with you. And everybody knows their gifts. And if you don't take that, the worst thing that would happen, not that it's removed from you, but that you keep it until your last breath and you knew it. Albert Einstein once said, what was it? About
E equals MC squared.
E equals MC squared, yeah. No, oh man, it's
Cage. I'm loving this right now, right?
Oh, of course. I am too, but it doesn't have to be 25. You don't have to die at 25. It took me to 44. 43, I guess I was at the time. I just turned 45. I guess I was 43. When I decided, I knew what my gift was. My gift was to give the gift of me to everybody within an earshot of this right now. You're all very welcome. You're
He's
all
half
welcome.
joking, but it's true. Like, you do have an incredible personality. Like, we've
We're
been
all
to quite a
welcome.
few shows, and it is true. Like, people do gravitate toward you because you are so kind. You have a big heart. You are giving. So that was like one of those half jokes. But I believe it very humbly when it comes to you, Cage.
Appreciate that, man, and thank you, because this is the fun part. This podcast that you started. This is me having fun.
We started it.
It's me living. That's all you.
We.
It's all
That's the
you. Take
next
a
thing I'm
bow.
teaching him. It's
Take
we.
a bow. Take a bow. Take a bow. Eric, it's been a lot of fun, man. You're a very
Yeah.
positive individual. You know, you're a very positive collector, positive guy, and that's good because you need people like you in the hobby. You need people like you, carrying the torch for the hobby as a whole when things are not inflated, when everything's not going great, right? When it is a flat line, when there is a little boredom, and you do it in an honest and fair way. You're not saying, hey, don't worry about it. It's going to 10x in the next month. Don't worry, Christmas time, sales are coming. Everybody's going to be, just hang in there. No, you say, you know what? There's a million ways to do this. Let's be honest and work on yourself. And be thankful for the gifts that you've gotten during the last 18 months, and there's a lot of things to be happy about. So I love that, man. I really do. And I think part of it is being in it, right? Don't leave the game. You know what I mean? Part of it is just being involved in it, consuming the content, being involved with the communities on whether it's Discord or Instagram, wherever it is. You'll find your next opportunity, right? And so I'm not getting spiritual like you guys are, but I really do believe that a lot of this is luck, a lot of this is opportunity, and a lot of it is you have to put yourself in the place to find that opportunity. And while I did well with cards coming into this year, I thought to myself, all right, cards are gonna die down a little bit. What am I gonna do? I can't grade anymore. I can't do all these things. And then Top Shot kind of just magically, it wasn't something I even knew existed coming into
I was going to
2021.
ask.
And then that did okay, and then you do fine there, and I'm like, all right, well, what's going to be the next come up? And then NFTs, and like all these things are just like, they kind of, the reason why they're there is, believe it or not, because of going out there and taking a chance on something like this podcast, on staying involved in the community, and not saying, all right, you know what, cards are not doing as well, I can't 10x, I can't send the PSA, and just leaving. Right, being there, being a part of that community, making yourself available for the opportunities when they come up is a huge thing. It really is.
I know this is going to sound stupid, but like, I'm just going to ask you: do you think that you found the opportunity, or do you think that the new version, the improved version of Cage, that opportunity found him?
I'd say a little bit of both. Because I've always been somebody who researches the hell out of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I don't like knowing. I don't like not knowing something. That's before cards. That's before podcasts. It's just I like to be well versed in a lot of stuff, and I don't like being asked a question that I can't at least bullshit about. So I definitely part of that is the research. But yeah, man, I mean it's I think I would be naive to say that it's not the what do you call it? There's no new and improved version, but it's definitely a different version. There's podcast stuff.
You don't think you're improved?
No, I'm just older and fatter. If you consider that being improved, then sure. I mean, but
He's
most
taking
ladies
more
out there
mass.
don't. Older and fatter is not an improvement to this.
Cage, have you heard about game theory or Eric?
No.
Now I have to go research that.
It's really simple. Go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say before I lose my train of thought, I remember that quote. It's attributed to Einstein. It's imagination is everything. It's a preview of life's coming attractions. And that's the important part of your imagination, is because only you can see it, right? That's kind of the higher power of the universe, giving you the ability to see a preview of life's coming attractions that are, but unless it's acted upon, it's just an imagination.
Imagination was one of the hardest things for me to learn, believe it or not. Like, not learn, let me rephrase that. It was one of the hardest things for me to practice, because initially when you go into imagination, you rationalize. It's like, well, how am I going to get there, right? Try this. I guarantee this. You're going to sit at home. You're going to try to visualize like the future that you've always wanted. And in your mind, these thoughts are going to come in. How am I going to do that? I can't make that happen. What about my kids? What about my wife? You block it. And the whole thing about imagination if done properly, if practiced properly, it's no different than lifting weights. It's to try to quiet that rational how mind and to just live in the future for that exercise.
With
That
your
doesn't
monkey
mean
brain.
you need to stay there.
Imagination.
You have the
Amazing-
loudest. Cage has the
amazing-
loudest monkey brain out of anyone I've ever
Amazing
seen.
3-part South Park series. If you have not watched the Imagination episodes of South Park, run to YouTube or wherever it is you can find your South Park episodes. Amazing. They get every character in the world into it.
Steal underpants, make $1 million.
That's the Underwear Gnomes. That's a different episode. Also very funny. Phase 1, steal underpants. Phase 3,
Steal
profit.
underpants.
There's no phase 2. No one knows what it is. That's, by the way, that is cards. People just buy cards with the intent. That's phase 1. With the intent to phase 3, make profit. But phase 2, they'll just figure that out as they go along. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that in the hobby too. But
game theory is actually quite simple. There's finite and infinite games. It's really basic, but it's kind of at the core of everything we do as people. It's fascinating to me. Most of us, I would say 96%, play finite games, which is we believe that there's a start and end date. We believe there's a certain set of rules, right? Sports are a great example. Start and stop. 90-minute soccer games, we know it's 11 players on each field. Here are the rules all agreed upon. But the issue with investing and with life is it's an infinite game. There's no start or stop. There is unlimited entrance because people come in and out of the hobby or in and out of investing. There's no set of rules. You're playing by one set of rules, I'm playing by another. And the goal of infinite game theory is actually to just stay in the game. Right? Sometimes in investing, you just got to tread water. Sometimes you're going to swim 1,000,000 miles an hour. But if you realize that there is no finish, the finish is a kaput.
I shall finish the game.
I shall finish.
We've done 469 episodes. This is a different vibe, but I like it.
That's it, man. No, listen, I love this episode. This is one of my favorites. We always have fun with Erik. Erik's the man. He comes in, he brings a lot of positivity, a lot of life experience, a lot of good stuff on the hobby, and I always leave an episode with Erik with a more favorable and optimistic outlook on the hobby as a whole than when we started. And there's no better way to end that, right? I mean, so thanks, Erik. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you spending some time with us because, I leave these episodes now thinking, all right, I'm a little more bullish and I want to go out and buy a card for myself now. So I love it.
What's a day in the life look like now that you're in Korea? What's a day in the life?
Noodles. Lots of noodles.
No, I eat a lot of fish. I'm trying to go convert over to fish, not stay away from red meat as much. Man, I honestly, because working at PwCC, it takes a lot of my time just responding to emails, reaching out to customers, formulating relationships. It's different because I'm usually a phone person, an personal interaction thing. So I'm having to learn a different environment. Usually, as I had before, I had my core network of individuals. Now I'm having to expand upon new people who don't know me. It's different. It's been not to say difficult at times, but it's learning, having to learn new strategies. I like it, but once outside of PwCC, outside of work, once I log off, man, I just like to just walk around, go hiking. We go to a lot of Buddhist temples. I mean, even though we're not Buddhists, nothing against Buddhism, but it's different. It's new, right? It's something totally different, something I'm not used to. Look at the architecture, go hiking, zip lining, just do a lot of cool stuff locally. And I go to a lot of food markets. They have a 3-8 market every day that ends in a 3 and an 8, like the 3rd, 8th, 13th, 18th, 23rd, 28th. A lot of people when they get off work, they might even just have a small patch of land. I'm talking like an 1/8 of an acre or something. They're always growing peppers, potatoes, apples, something, and they bring the produce in. So I hit the markets up and go through all that. It's honestly been refreshing to see a different way of life. It's been refreshing. Not a lot of people fighting over CNN and Fox. Not a lot of that.
For sure. People are actually nice to each other, right? Once you turn the news off. I was gonna ask you, people kind to you, accepted, or are they oh, that's the American out there?
No, they, especially in Pyeongtaek, Seoul is like New York City. They're just moving, going. They don't care what race, what ethnicity. They're just doing. They got stuff to do, place to go. In Pyeongtaek, it's a decent sized city, but it's about an hour away. Outside of Seoul, which is 10.8, 11 million people, something like that. And I think there's 52 or 53 million people in the country of South Korea.
That's a big city.
Yeah, it's massive. It's moving. Seoul is
Like New York is 11 million, 14 million, depending.
Yeah, it's New York City. I mean, I posted some videos on Instagram of I went to the tall tower. It's like 126 stories. I forgot what it's called, and I took pictures of a lot of the condos and stuff. And it's just seas. Like I'm talking, like a sea of condos. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen anything like that. But a lot of the people outside, it hit me like a ton of bricks the day after we pulled out of Afghanistan, because the next day I'm driving on the military base, Camp Humphreys. And pulling up, I see all these flags and thinking there's protests or something. Maybe it has something to do with Afghanistan. As I get closer, I realize they're all pro-American flags. So people were just there, hundreds and hundreds of people. I thought it was going to be a nightmare driving through. No, they were just there to reiterate a lot of their positive outlook on having America at Camp Humphreys, because they've learned to integrate the presence of 100,000 plus soldiers to help benefit their economic ecosystem. You know, a lot of the people's, their income comes from the footprint of the American system here. And it's really cool, to see whole cities pop up that people who probably wouldn't have had that opportunity. And 85% of the population here has a bachelor's degree or higher. So they take that money. Yeah, most of them are bilingual or incessantly pursuing a second or third language. They're always learning and growing, a new certification, something. You can't get anything with a bachelor's degree here. Almost 9 out of 10 people have one. You need to have 2 or a master's or more, speak at least 2 languages. I mean, it's embarrassing for me that I'm at my level of intellect, being around so many people that are pursuing it at a higher level. It's been a breath of fresh air, man. It really has, because they actually are trying to make the most of every small opportunity they have, whether it's growing potatoes, whether it's anything, no matter what it is. I can see the fruits and spirits of the American dream in the people in South Korea at times more than I can in America.
I have a few more. If we could could we stay on this? Like, I'm curious, like, what the border with North Korea is like.
Man, the only people that worry about that are outside of Korea. They don't care here. They don't care about that, dude. I'm not saying all. It's predominantly just a ruse fabricated by the news just to give people to argue and fight over. Like, they don't care here. They know
they don't care. They don't talk about North Korea. It's not even
ever.
Wow.
Like ever. It literally in half a year being here has never come up in one discussion. They don't really care. Kim Jong-un.
What would you see if you drove up there to the border?
Nothing. It's like what do you see when you drive up to the Canadian border? Nothing. There's going to be a fence and a DMZ, like a gap of unoccupied space. It's not like the Texas-Mexico border. It's not like Arizona border. It's not like that. There's nobody in South Korea rushing to get to North Korea. That's not happening. Right. And Kim Jong-un doesn't want to integrate into anywhere else. He has control. He's not looking to grow his footprint. He's just looking for the status quo. The only time he ever does something crazy is just to get more money or more free stuff from other countries. It's just a game that I thought that was like, oh, how tense is it? How's this? How's that? No, they don't want to change, and they don't want to get bigger. They don't want to get smaller. They don't want anything to change. Nobody here worries about it. Like, it's literally has zero effect on worry. South Korea is doing its own thing.
What about like do you hear stories, of somebody who escaped North Korea and there's like a famine going on? Is that prevalent? Because why I ask, Cage, I know this is the collector series. I'm going on and talking about national.
I can't stop you. I've been trying, but I can't stop you.
How have you been trying with your eyes?
Yeah, man. Without basically saying, what the hell are you doing? Stop the recording. Ask him questions about Korea off the recording. This way people who are tuning in to listen about cards don't have to hear this. But that's cool. Go for it. It's your show.
So let me ask you think people that are interested in cards are solely interested in cards?
No. But I think you probably lost a lot of them about 4 minutes ago.
This is epic.
Erik, what's the political affairs between South Korea and China? No, I care about this stuff because I'm inherently, I don't trust media. So like when somebody I know.
Yeah, don't even care about it. Life is so short. You got so much else. Just turn it off.
Curiosity.
Man, I have people reach out to me on Facebook. What do you think about this? I don't even know that happened. What are you talking about? Like, literally, when stuff happens in America, I'm like, I don't know. Like, how's it working out for y'all? Well, this is what this person thinks. I'm going to go freaking ask them. I don't know. Unless you're talking about moves in life or what's making you happy, I don't know. You know, like I have no clue what's going on in America. And it's cool. I'm going to be honest, Andrew. It's so refreshing. You don't even live in America. You should just turn it off.
Yeah, what does he care? What does he care about
There
what's going on in
either.
America?
You need to learn
Dude
how
lives
to
in Mexico.
Bro, you live in Mexico. Who cares, bro? I mean, learn to enjoy the blessing of not being caught in that freaking media rat race, man. That's all. You know, so I heard. So I ended at this. I saw this amazing meme. There was this king and his jester were in the courthouse. I mean, up on top of it and their castle, and they look down and they see all these people with pitchforks and torches, right? And the king looks at Jester and goes, "They're about to kick in the door and kill us." And Jester looks at him and goes, "No, we just got to get the people with pitchforks to fight with the people with torches, and we'll be fine." They're just trying to keep the people with the torches fighting with the people with the pitchforks. That's all it is, man. Just turn it off. Go enjoy your day. You'll be fine.
Is that the pro PWCC people fighting with the pro eBay people in the
No,
hobby?
no, I'm talking about the media.
That was pretty good, Cage. That was pretty good.
I kind of like it.
So
Kinda
on
like
that,
it.
just
Kinda like
spin
it.
it back.
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. I kind of do.
This
Burn
is
it
what
all
you get
down.
when you have a true friend on the show. I mean, Erik and I have talked about a million things. I've learned a lot from you, man. I mean what I said. Like, you're very generous with your time, with your information. This is a blast. Cage, any final words? You want to take us across the finish line?
No, man, I thought I did that like 8 minutes ago, but we're all good. Eric, you are.
Edit this crap
I
out.
mean, listen, I'm afraid to keep talking because if I bring something up, Andrew's going to talk about like
He's
you know
fucking
what's going
interested.
on in Saigon or something. I don't know what the hell's going on here, but you know we're all
American
good.
Gangster was so good, man.
Oh, here he
Wish they would
goes.
make another one.
It was a good movie. Eric, you're the best. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody. Talk to you
Have a
soon.
blessing.